let's bring in a guy who is watching news coverage because his life depends on it. And what I mean by that is the purveyor of BernardGoldberg.com, the legendary Bernie Goldberg, is a media guy, has been for decades, probably since William Howard Taft was president. And he makes a living on BernardGoldberg.com by analyzing the media, among other things. Number one, do you think my assessment of President Biden is unfair?
No. I think the easy answer is that journalists traditionally, historically, side with Democrats over Republicans. That's because journalists are liberal, Democrats are liberal, and they see the Democratic views as reasonable views, and they see conservative views as way out of the mainstream. So my quick, easy answer is that they go easier on Biden, certainly, than they went on Trump. That goes without saying. But I know that you like evidence-based analysis, so I did some research. The Pew Research Center did a study of the first 100 days. I don't think there's much difference between the first 100 days and the second 100 days, but of the first 100 days of the Biden administration. And get this, Bill, 78% of the stories about Joe Biden were negative. 78% were negative, but that was when the audience was conservative. So when the audience was conservative, almost all the stories about Biden were negative. But when the audience was liberal, only 19% of the stories about Biden were negative. So in plain English, if you're watching Fox, almost everything about Biden is negative. If you're watching CNN or MSNBC, almost all the stories about Biden are positive. And that's because, and I think you'll agree with me on this, that's because this is not any longer about journalism. This is about business. And the business model is simple. Pander to the audience, give the audience what it wants to hear. Don't do anything that might make them angry by exposing them to views they don't feel comfortable with. And as a result, almost everything about Biden is negative when it's to a conservative audience, and the opposite when it's to a liberal audience.
All right, but let's get back to me. It's all about me. All right? So I think President Biden's doing a bad job, and I'm not saying that because many of my viewers on the First TV or BillO'Reilly.com or listeners on WABC radio think that as well. I'm saying it because I'm analyzing things like the border, the economy, violence in the streets, foreign affairs, how people are doing financially, and all of it is coming up not good. So therefore,
Right.
Go ahead.
Let me pick up on two of those specifics that you just mentioned. The border. He created that mess.
Yeah.
If you go back, and I did this on my website a while ago, if you go back and do nothing more than quote Joe Biden, he practically gave the immigrants from Central America an engraved invitation to come to the United States. So whatever's happening on the border, that's Biden's problem. That's a mess he created. Now, if Trump had created a mess to this extent, it would be nonstop New York Times page one. Okay, that's obvious. The second thing is crime. I just wrote a column that's going to be up on my website in a few days. Crime may very well bring down the Democrats next year and maybe even in 2024. Because Joe Biden, like most liberals, thinks we have a gun problem. Conservatives and Republicans think we have a criminal problem. And Joe Biden doesn't want to state an uncomfortable truth that a lot of these criminals, I would venture to say almost all of the people you see looting high-end stores in big cities and casually walking out of the stores because they don't fear any consequences, Not only are those cities run by Democrats, but Joe Biden doesn't want to talk about the one root cause that Joe Biden and Democrats don't want to talk about. The only root cause they don't want to talk about, fatherlessness. I would venture to say almost every single one of those people looting stores grew up in a house without a father present. That's the problem.
But it's even worse than that. The
Well, that's
vast
bad.
majority of people being shot and killed are African American. I mean, I think in some places like Chicago, it's 90%
Right,
of the
but if you
victims
blame,
of violent crime are African American, yet you see no urgency, just like the
absolutely,
border, no
the only black,
urgency to stop the gunfire, to confront the drug gangs who are doing it. Everybody knows it's the drug gangs. It's not bank robbers doing it. It's drug gangs, and they're all
the,
minority gangs.
the
So
only black lives
go
that
ahead.
matter are these people, to the people you're talking about. The only black lives that matter are the ones that get hurt when a white cop is involved.
That's right. So Americans know that, and according to this ABC poll, they are pessimistic that Joe Biden's going to solve any problem. And here we go back to President Biden. I have seen nothing, not only in his 6 months as president, but in his senatorial career as well. I have seen no problem-solving ability, none. And Jimmy Carter had none either, which is why his administration spun out of control in the economy, in gasoline, in a variety of different ways. If people were alive back then, you saw it with your own eyes. Biden has the same skill set that Carter had, which is nothing.
And yet he got elected
I think
president.
that's the story.
And yet he got elected president for two reasons. One, he wasn't Bernie Sanders, because they figured Bernie is too far to the left, he can't win, so they nominated Joe Biden. Two, he wasn't Donald Trump. That is a major factor. America didn't say, we want Joe Biden. We think this guy is so charismatic, so visionary. We have to vote for Joe Biden to be president. No, they didn't want Donald Trump. They didn't want 4 more years of Donald Trump. That's why he's president. But I believe Joe Biden is the president technically, but I think he's sitting in the back seat while the progressives are driving the car. And that's why they don't want to blame criminals for crime, because if you blame criminals, the progressive wing of the party is going to get all upset. No, you can't blame criminals. You can blame racism, but you can blame racism for everything, by the way. But you can't blame criminals.
Final question I have predicted here, and obviously in 17 months a lot could change, but I have predicted here a massive backlash against the woke movement, the progressive movement, Joe Biden, Democrats in general in the midterm elections of 2022. I believe the GOP, as ineffective as they are right now, and the Republican Party is not effective right now, I believe they will take back the House and the Senate in November 2022, which effectively will end the Biden presidency and the progressive movement. What say you?
I say you're onto something, because history, for one thing, history is on the GOP side. In almost every election since World War II, the president in power during the first midterm election lost seats. I think it's about 26 seats in the House and about 2 seats in the Senate. So history is on the Republican side, but this time around, they also have several other things on their side. They have the border on their side, they have pending inflation on their side, and to me, this is the single most important, they have crime on their side, because suburban voters who deserted the Republican Party and voted for Joe Biden, they see what's going on, and they're worried that that crime is going to hit their neighborhood.
That's right.
Just as it hit a fancy section of Washington, D.C. a few days ago. It's no longer in their neighborhood solely. Now it could be in your neighborhood, and they don't want that. And I think that's going to be the biggest single factor giving Republicans the advantage.
Fellow Americans, I am concerned about the US dollar. Huge debt, as you know. Will it stay as the world's reserve currency? That's why now more than ever, I recommend you diversify with gold and silver. And the only company I recommend, and have for years, is American Hartford Gold. I trust them. I've personally done business with them. They sell physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or put inside your IRA. And they make it very easy. So call them right now. Make sure you tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you, and they will give you up to $2,500 of free silver on your first order. Since I have been recommending American Hartford Gold, gold shot up more than 40%. Silver, more than 60%. So don't wait. Call them now. 866-501-5201. 866-501-5201. Or text Bill to 65532. Again, that's 866-501-5201, or text Bill to 65532. Bill O'Reilly here. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure you subscribe to the First TV YouTube page. Just hit the big red subscribe button below, and you'll get clips and highlights of my program, The No Spin News, every single day. We'll see you soon.